Good Thursday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Conversations Daily News. Glad you all could be with us. Well, we made it over the hump, and we're in the home stretch toward the weekend. We, of course, have news headlines coming up on this Thursday. We have a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. And in today's Entertainment Spotlight, it really is news you can use about healthcare. That's why we're excited to welcome Sharon Graham, who's joining me from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to talk about this year's open enrollment period here in the United States. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with their Thursday headlines. In international news, Poland and NATO say missile strike wasn't a Russian attack. NATO member Poland and the head of the military alliance both said Wednesday that a missile strike in Poland that struck a farmland and killed 2 people appeared to be unintentional and was probably launched by air defenses in neighboring Ukraine. Russia had been bombarding Ukraine at the time in an attack that savaged its power grid. Ukraine's defense was launching their missiles in various directions, and it is highly probable that one of these missiles unfortunately fell on Polish territory, said the Polish president. There is absolutely nothing to suggest that it was an intentional attack on Poland. The NATO Secretary General, at a meeting of the 30-nation military alliance in Brussels, echoed the preliminary Polish findings. The Ukrainian President Zelensky, however, disputed them and asked for further investigation. The assessments of Tuesday's deadly missile landing appeared to dial back the likelihood of the strike triggering another major escalation in the nearly 9-month-old Russian invasion of Ukraine. If Russia had targeted Poland, that could have risked drawing NATO into the conflict. This is not Ukraine's fault. Russia bears ultimate responsibility, said the Secretary General. Zelensky told reporters he had no doubts about a report he received from his top commanders that it wasn't our missile or our missile strike. Ukrainian officials should have access to the site and take part in the investigation, he added. Let's say openly, if God forbid, some remnant of Ukraine's air defenses killed a person, these people, then we need to apologize, he said. But first there needs to be a probe assessed. We want to get the data you have. Before the Polish and NATO assessments, U.S. President Joe Biden has said it was unlikely that Russia fired the missile, but added, I'm going to make sure we find out exactly what happened. A Russian Defense Ministry spokesperson in Moscow said no Russian strike Tuesday was closer than 22 miles from the Ukraine-Polish border. Later Wednesday, Russia's foreign ministry summoned the Polish ambassador in Moscow. The discussion reportedly lasted about 20 minutes. In national news, Trump bid nets tough reaction from some former media friends. Not all of his friends have abandoned him, but the harsh media reaction to former President Donald Trump's announcement that he's seeking the top office again illustrates that if he wants his old job back, he has a lot of convincing to do. Just glance at some of the headlines. Trump shocks the world by nearly putting us to sleep, said the Red State blog. Old Mar-a-Lago man yells at cloud, said the American Conservative. Donnie, time to go away, said the Blue State Conservative. Trump 3.0 is a changed man. He's a loser, said the Washington Examiner. The National Review had one headline, No. And these are all conservative organizations. Consider Wednesday's epic troll from the New York Post, the newspaper owned by conservative media magnate Rupert Murdoch that has turned sharply against Trump since last week's midterm election, says Florida man makes announcement as its headline running across the bottom of the front page, directing readers to an article on page 26. In more national news, NASA capsule on way to moon after launch by giant new rocket. A space capsule hurtled toward the moon Wednesday for the first time in 50 years, following a thunderous launch of NASA's mightiest rocket in a dress rehearsal for astronaut flights. No one was on board this debut flight, just 3 test dummies. The capsule is headed for a wide orbit around the moon and then a return to Earth with a Pacific splashdown in about 3 weeks. After years of delays and billions in cost overruns, the Space Launch System rocket roared skyward, rising from Kennedy Space Center on 8.8 million pounds of thrust and hitting 100 miles an hour within seconds. The Orion capsule was perched on top and less than 2 hours into the flight, busted out of Earth's orbit toward the moon. In entertainment news, Brendan Fraser says he won't participate in Golden Globes. Brendan Fraser, whose performance in The Whale has made him a likely awards candidate this year, says he won't attend the Golden Globes in January if he's nominated. In 2018, Fraser says that he was groped by a longtime Hollywood Foreign Press Association member a former president of the organization behind the Globes. I have more history with the Hollywood Foreign Press Association than I have respect for the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, Fraser told GQ magazine in a cover story published on Wednesday. Asked whether he'd be involved in the ceremony, Fraser said, "No, I will not participate." And finally, in business news, Wall Street slips as Target stumbles and weighs on retailers. Retailers and technology companies led a broad slide for stocks on Wednesday after a dismal financial report from Target overshadowed a positive retail sector report from the government. The S&P 500 fell 0.8%, wiping out most of its gains from a day earlier. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's now time for a message from my book, Words I Choose to Live By. Enjoy. Good Thursday, everyone. I'm Cyrus Webb, and welcome to Words I Choose to Live By. Stay focused, stay prayerful, remain vigilant, and you will see your wildest dreams come true. Have an amazing Thursday. Sharon Graham from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services is in today's Entertainment Spotlight. We're here on Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Sharon Graham from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services joined me on Conversations Live, the radio show, to talk about this year's open enrollment period for healthcare. Here's a bit of our conversation.
Sharon, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Cyrus.
The pleasure's definitely all mine. As I mentioned, it's that time again with open enrollment here. I know this is an exciting time. A lot of people have questions, though, Sharon, when it comes to healthcare.gov this time of year. Talk to our audience, first of all, about the time frame. I know it's begin now, but when does it actually end?
Sure. The Marketplace open enrollment actually started on November 1st. And so anyone who needs health insurance, we're encouraging them to go to healthcare.gov before December 15th to enroll in quality, affordable healthcare coverage that will be effective on January 1st. So again, going to our website, healthcare.gov, you can fill out an application online and see what financial help you might be eligible for, too.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. So that gives them about a month here, Sharon, to be able to do that. That's why it's so important that they don't wait. But I want to talk about what's new, because there's a lot of things that's happened since last year. What are some of the new things they should be looking for this year?
You're right, Cyrus. There is some new information people should know. Due to a new law that was passed in August, more people are going to continue to qualify for financial assistance by going to healthcare.gov. At our website, healthcare.gov, you'll find quality, affordable health insurance plans that cover things like doctor's visits, hospitalizations, preventive services, prescription drugs, and just a whole lot more. And with this increased financial assistance, people who are eligible, we're finding that 4 out of 5 eligible people are finding health insurance plans for $10 or less a month, which is just an amazing amount of assistance. And again, people should go to healthcare.gov to learn more.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning into this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll be back on tomorrow to wrap up this week. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Now let's go make it a great one.